You ever stop and think how obsessed people are with purpose? Everybody's walking around like they're on some divine mission, saving the world one spreadsheet at a time. I have to find my purpose. What purpose? You're not discovering penicillin. You're selling socks on the internet. Calm down. Somewhere along the line, humans convinced themselves they were born to do something. Birds didn't get that memo. They're just born to be. A bird doesn't wake up in the morning and think, what is my greater calling? It wakes up, stretches its wings, maybe sings a little tune, maybe poops on a car, and that's it. Day accomplished. No existential crisis, no motivational posters, no vision board, just life. Simple, efficient, and completely unbothered. Meanwhile, humans are out here with 10-year plans, 5-year goals, quarterly objectives, all to justify why they exist. The birds look down from the telephone wire and go, you people really make this hard on yourselves, don't you? We're the only creatures that need a reason to live. Every other animal just lives. You ever see a squirrel having a breakdown about career fulfillment? Oh man, I'm just not where I thought I'd be this hibernation season. No, the squirrel just gathers nuts and calls it a day. But not us. Oh no, we need purpose, meaning fulfillment, balance. All these fancy words to hide the fact that most of us are just bored and scared. We built an entire society around pretending to be busy. Jobs, goals, dreams, all part of the same scam. And it's a good scam! You get people to spend their whole lives chasing something they can't even define. You ask someone, what's your purpose? And they'll say something vague like, making a difference. Great. What kind of difference? A big one or a small one? Positive, negative, horizontal. People don't even know. They just repeat the slogans. Meanwhile, the birds have cracked the code. They don't chase purpose. They follow instincts. You ever see a bird fly south for the winter? It doesn't need a pep talk or a workshop. It doesn't need to align its energy before migrating. It just feels the wind, senses the season, and goes. No plans, no guilt, no PowerPoint presentations. Just nature doing what it's supposed to. Humans, on the other hand, can't even go to the grocery store without a list, a coupon, and an emotional support playlist. You know what's really funny? People pay other people to help them find their purpose. That's a whole career now. Life coaches. Imagine explaining that to a bird. Hi, Mr. Sparrow, I'm here to help you rediscover your authentic direction. The sparrow would peck you on the forehead and fly away. Birds don't need coaches because they don't suffer from existential confusion. They don't look in the mirror and ask, who am I? They already know. They're birds. They flap, they fly, they eat worms. Case closed. But humans can't handle simplicity. We complicate everything. We've got whole industries built around giving meaning to meaningless stuff, corporate purpose, brand mission, values statements. What's a brand value? Anyway, soap doesn't need a value system. It just needs to be clean. But we turned even that into philosophy. Our mission is to inspire cleanliness and confidence. It's soap. Just wash your hands and move on. Birds don't care about mission statements. Their mission is, don't die. That's it. Stay alive, stay fed, avoid cats. Simple. You never hear a robin say, I'm not just surviving, I'm thriving. No inspirational hashtags for the sparrows. No self-help books for the crows. They've already got it figured out. Eat, fly, nap, repeat. Humans, we invented stress about survival, even when survival's handled. You got food, water, shelter, and still you're staring at the ceiling thinking, is this all there is? Yes, that's all there is. Congratulations, you made it. But no, that's not enough. We can't just be happy being alive. We have to justify it. We have to make sure it means something. I want to leave a legacy. Legacy. You're not Caesar. You're Gary from accounting. The only legacy you're leaving is an inbox full of unread messages and a coffee mug with your name on it. Birds don't leave legacies. They leave droppings. And you know what? It all washes away the same in the rain. The great cosmic joke is that while humans are chasing purpose, the rest of nature is actually living. Look at a seagull. That's a creature with no shame and no anxiety. Steals a French fry, screams at the ocean, takes a nap. It doesn't wonder if it's living up to its potential. It just does what it does. That's authenticity. Something humans spend their whole lives pretending to rediscover. We've even made finding yourself a hobby. People take sabbaticals, backpack through Europe, sit in circles chanting mantras, all trying to find themselves. You ever lose yourself? What? Did you check under the couch cushions? You're right there. Birds never have to find themselves. They never lost themselves to begin with. They didn't trade their instincts for a paycheck. And that's another thing. Work. The great human obsession. Meaningful work, they call it. But let's be honest, most jobs are just fancy ways to pass time before lunch. We spend decades filling out forms, sitting in meetings, and calling that a life. Birds don't have jobs. Nobody hires a pigeon to fly around. They just do it. They're freelancers for the universe. And yet, somehow they live with more freedom and less confusion than us. Think about that. Creatures with a brain the size of a peanut have more peace than people with philosophy degrees. You ever talk to someone who's read too much philosophy? What is the meaning of life? Buddy, if you have to ask, you're missing it. The meaning of life is that it's happening right now. And you're wasting it asking questions the birds already answered. We've built whole systems to keep ourselves distracted from that truth. Religion, politics, self, help, therapy. All ways of convincing ourselves that there's something bigger we're supposed to be doing. Birds don't do that. They don't form committees to discuss creation. They don't build monuments to the great hawk in the sky. They're too busy living the miracle we keep talking about. Humans like to think they're the masters of the planet, the big thinkers. But take away our gadgets, our schedules, our constant noise, and most people wouldn't know what to do for 5 minutes. You sit them in a park, no phone, no distractions, and they go insane. What am I supposed to do? Nothing. That's the point. Look at the ducks. They're floating. They're fine. You don't see a duck checking its planner. We invented stress for problems that don't even exist. A bird's biggest worry is the cat. Our biggest worry is whether we're fulfilling our potential. You see the difference. One's about survival, the other's about ego. And that's the trap. Ego. The need to matter. The need to prove we're special. But here's a secret. Nobody's special. The birds figured that out long ago. They don't need to feel special to enjoy the sunrise. We're always trying to stand out. Better jobs, better houses, better kids, better hair. The birds just blend in and fly over it all. They don't care who's got the biggest nest or the fanciest feathers. They all look at each other and go, "Hey, we're birds. That's enough." You never hear one say, "I'm trying to be the best bird I can be." No, because being a bird is already enough. That's the lesson we keep missing. Existence isn't something to earn. It's something to experience. But we've built this illusion that we need to earn our right to breathe. We measure our worth in output, as if life were a factory. Birds measure theirs in air time. How much they get to glide before sunset. That's freedom. It's ironic, isn't it? Humans with all their intelligence are miserable, and birds with none of our fancy thinking are happy. Maybe being smart isn't all it's cracked up to be. Maybe the secret to happiness isn't finding purpose, but losing the need for one. When you strip it down, life isn't about goals or meaning. It's about rhythm. Wake up, stretch, eat, love, laugh, rest. The same cycle that birds follow without question. They don't overthink it. They don't plan. They're weak around it. They just do it. We could learn something from that. Not how to fly, but how to stop trying so damn hard. Because when you stop trying to control the show, you finally see what's happening on stage. The clouds, the wind, the quiet, the chaos. It's all there. It's all enough. You don't need to give it a reason. You just need to live it. You ever notice how everybody's always doing something? Nobody can just sit still anymore. You tell someone you spent the day doing nothing, and they look at you like you just admitted to a felony. Nothing. What do you mean nothing? You didn't go anywhere. You didn't achieve anything. No, I didn't achieve anything. I existed. And frankly, I think that's enough for one lifetime. See, people forgot the beauty of nothing. Doing nothing used to be an art form. Remember when people used to sit on their porch? That was it. Just sit there. Maybe a cup of coffee, maybe a cigarette, maybe a little gossip with a neighbor about the mailman's new haircut. But that was it. And somehow, life still went on. The sun still came up. The rent still got due. The dog still barked at the mailman. But we were fine. Now everybody's got this nervous tick of business. You sit still for 5 minutes, and somebody will ask if you're okay. You all right, man? You're not on drugs, are you? Yeah, I am. I'm on peace of mind, but thanks for checking. Everybody's got a schedule now, even the pets. Dogs got appointments, cats got calendars. People are buying day planners for their goldfish, making sure little Bubbles gets his daily swim, time between 2 and 3 p.m. God forbid the fish has some unscheduled floating around. We've become allergic to stillness. The moment someone has 10 minutes free, they panic. Oh no, I'm wasting time. Wasting time. Buddy, time's doing just fine without you. You can't waste it. You can't save it. And you sure as hell can't manage it. It's not a bank account. It's a fuse. It burns whether you're running around or sitting on your ass. You ever notice birds don't have this problem? Birds don't plan anything. They don't have calendars, goals, or quarterly performance reviews. You never see a pigeon with a to-do list. Okay, fly to the park, pick up some bread crumbs, poop on a car, meet with the flock to discuss migration strategies. No, they just wake up, flap a little, glide around, maybe sing, maybe don't. They wing it. That's why they call it that, winging it. Meanwhile, humans have turned life into one big to-do list. Every minute's got to be maximized. Optimize your morning routine. Yeah, okay, I'll optimize it by not doing it. How about that? Sleep till noon, skip breakfast, and call it a day. We've convinced ourselves that if we're not constantly doing something, we're failing. You know what they used to call that? Relaxing. But now it's unproductive. Productivity. Oh, that's the new religion. Everybody's praying to the God of productivity. They even write books about it. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Yeah, how about the 1 habit of happy people? Do less. See, birds don't fall for that trap. They don't sit on the branch next to the nest comparing success stories. Oh, you built your nest with imported twigs. That's impressive. Mine's just local materials. No birds ever felt insecure about another bird's tree. They don't care. They don't measure their worth by how many worms they got that morning. They just eat, fly, and chill. Humans, on the other hand, we're obsessed with motion. Doesn't matter where we're going, as long as we're going. We can't stand the idea that we might be still while someone else is moving. We invented the treadmill, a machine that lets you go nowhere faster. That's how uncomfortable we are with stillness. We'll literally pay money to simulate movement. You run for 30 minutes, sweat like you escaped from somewhere, and end up in the exact same spot. The only thing that's moved is your wallet. You ever see a bird on a treadmill? No, because birds don't need to pretend to move. When they move, they actually go somewhere. And when they stop, they stop. There's no guilt. A bird doesn't sit on a branch thinking, I should be doing more. It just sits. That's its job. Sitting, chirping, maybe pecking a bug. And you know what? The world keeps turning. We've got this fear of being unimportant. People think if they stop doing stuff, the planet will spin off its axis. I can't take a break. There's too much to do. Really? What do you do? Run the tides. Control gravity. The universe managed just fine for 13 billion years without your spreadsheet. Steve, take a nap. Doing nothing has gotten such a bad rap. You tell someone you spent Sunday lying on the couch, and they say, must be nice. Yeah, it is nice. You should try it sometime. But no, they can't, because they've got things to do. Laundry, groceries, emails, always emails. You ever think about how emails ruin peace? Used to be, if someone wanted to bother you, they had to come to your house, knock on the door, and risk getting ignored. Now they can just invade your brain directly. I knew things were going downhill when they invented busy work. They didn't even hide it. Busy work. That's work designed to keep you busy. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't mean anything. It just exists to fill the silence. Because silence scares people. Silence means you might have to think. And that's dangerous. That's why people fill every quiet moment with noise, radio, TV, music, chatter. God forbid there's silence. You ever sit in a room with someone and there's a moment of silence? People get nervous, start talking about the weather. Looks like rain. Yeah, and what are you, a cloud expert now? Just enjoy the quiet, man. The birds get it. They sit in silence all the time. Just perching there, watching the world, no expectations. They're not scrolling through the sky thinking, I should be somewhere else. They're already there. That's the beauty of birds. They belong wherever they are. Humans, we're never where we are. We're always where we should be. Sitting at work, thinking about home. Sitting at home, thinking about work. We're like emotional commuters. If a bird had our mindset, it'd fall out of the sky. Can you imagine a crow in therapy? Doc, I just don't feel like I'm flying enough. My wings feel unfulfilled. No, birds don't do that. They just flap, glide, eat, repeat, and somehow they're doing fine. No self-help books, no personal coaches, no wellness retreats in the desert. They've mastered the art of enough. And that's the key, enough. Humans don't know that word. Everything's got to be more work, more money, more stuff, more plans. We even brag about it. I'm so busy. That's not a badge of honor. That's a cry for help. Birds never brag about being busy. They don't say, "Oh man, I've been swamped with migration." It's funny. People spend their whole lives chasing relaxation, but they never stop long enough to find it. They build spas, retreats, yoga studios, all places where you pay someone to tell you to breathe. You know who breathes for free? Birds. Every day is a spa day in the sky. No appointments, no membership fees, no essential oils. Just wind and wings. You ever see a bird with anxiety? No. Because birds don't check the clock. They don't know it's Monday. They don't have the Monday blues. They don't even know what a week is. Time doesn't exist to them. That's freedom. Humans invented time so we could torture ourselves with it. It's already noon. I'm behind. Behind what? There's no finish line. Man, it's just life. People think if they stop doing things, they'll fall behind in some invisible race. But who's racing? Nobody knows. It's like the whole species agreed to sprint without knowing where the finish line is. Birds don't play that game. They're not racing, they're gliding. There's a difference. Gliding means trusting the air to do the work. Humans flap until their feathers fall off, then complain about being tired. Doing nothing isn't about laziness. It's about awareness. It's about realizing that the universe doesn't need your constant interference. You ever notice nature doesn't hurry, but everything still happens. Trees grow, rivers flow, stars explode, all without a single memo or committee meeting. Meanwhile, we're out here with planners, reminders, and deadlines, trying to manage existence. And that's the punchline, isn't it? We think doing nothing is unproductive, when in fact, it's the most natural thing in the world. It's how everything else works. The problem is we've been trained to believe that rest is failure. Idle hands are the devil's workshop. Yeah, well, maybe the devil's onto something, because idle hands make for a peaceful mind. So maybe it's time we take a page out of the bird's book. If they had books, maybe we should stop scheduling every second, stop forcing meaning into every moment, and just be. Sit on a branch once in a while, let the wind do what it does, and remember that life's not a project. It's not something to manage. It's something to experience. And if someone asks what you did all day, just smile and say, nothing. Because that's the most honest, liberating thing you can do in a world addicted to motion. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do is nothing at all. You ever notice that the people who plan every little thing in life are the ones who seem the most miserable? They've got calendars, checklists, backup plans, exit strategies, contingency maps. Like life's a military operation. At 8 a.m., I'll drink my coffee. At 80:15, I'll reflect. At 80:30, I'll meditate about my reflection. Buddy, just exist. You're not launching a rocket. You're trying to get through Tuesday. The funny thing is, we came up with this phrase, winging it. Sounds casual, spontaneous, carefree. But have you ever noticed that the people who wing it are usually the ones having the most fun? Everyone else is too busy trying to make life perfect. You can tell who they are. They've got that permanent look of anxiety, like they're about to be audited by God. Their wounds so tight you could use them as a clock spring. The truth is, most of the time, life doesn't care about your plans. You can have your goals, your schedules, your 5-year dreams, but life's going to show up, look at your planner, and say, that's cute. Then it throws in a flat tire, a rainstorm, and your mother-in-law's surprise visit. Suddenly, all those fancy plans go out the window. And you know who handles it best? The people who wing it. The ones who shrug and say, well, that's life. Let's see what happens. Birds figured this out long ago. They invented winging it. You never see a bird checking a map before migration. All right, everyone, gather around. We'll take I-95 south until we reach the Gulf. No, they just go. They feel the wind, sense the season, and trust it'll get them where they're supposed to be. That's faith. Not the kind with choirs and incense, the real kind. Faith in the wind. Faith that life knows more than you do. Humans could learn from that. But no, we're control freaks. We can't handle uncertainty. We've got weather forecasts, traffic updates, stock alerts, news tickers. Every second, more information telling us what might go wrong. Meanwhile, birds just look at the sky and decide. If it rains, they find a tree. If it's sunny, they fly. Simple. You don't see them arguing about it on talk shows. We've turned control into a religion. People pray to the God of planning. Please, let everything go exactly as I want. But life doesn't work that way. You can't script it. The best moments, the funniest, strangest, most beautiful things, they happen when you least expect them. And you can't plan serendipity. You can only let it happen. You ever see those people on vacation who look like they're still at work? Clipboard in hand, itinerary in pocket, stopwatch on the wrist. Why have 15 minutes to relax? People, you're supposed to be enjoying the beach, not managing it. But they can't relax. They're addicted to order. Meanwhile, the guy with no plan, no schedule, no idea what day it is, that's the guy who actually feels the sand between his toes. That's the bird in human form. Winging it doesn't mean being lazy. It means trusting that not knowing everything is okay. It's letting go of that tight little fist around every second of your life. Because the tighter you grip, the less you actually hold. You ever try catching water? The harder you squeeze, the faster it slips away. That's life. You can't trap it in a jar and label it Plan A. And the best part is, when you wing it, you discover things you never would have planned for. You take a wrong turn and find a great diner. You miss your train and meet someone interesting. You burn dinner and end up laughing with takeout. That's the universe's way of reminding you it's got a better sense of humor than you do. But we're so afraid of uncertainty, we act like it's dangerous. What if something goes wrong? Something will go wrong. That's the point. But that's also what makes life fun. If everything went exactly the way you wanted, you'd be bored out of your mind by Thursday. The surprises, the detours, that's where the magic hides. You ever watch a kid play? They don't plan their games. They just go. Okay, I'm a dragon, you're a tree, and the floor is lava. There's no meeting, no minutes, no consensus. It's pure imagination, pure flow. Somewhere between childhood and adulthood, we lost that. We replaced let's pretend with let's plan. Birds never lost it. They never grew up that way. They still play with the wind. It's funny. People say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. But you ever think about how many people planned everything and still ended up miserable? They had a blueprint for life, and all they built was a pile of stress. Winging it isn't failure. It's flexibility. It's survival. Nature works that way. Trees bend with the wind. Rivers change course. Clouds drift. And somehow, everything still works out. Humans build a schedule and panic if lunch starts 10 minutes late. You ever been to one of those meetings that could have been an email? That's human planning in a nutshell. We overcomplicate everything. Birds don't have meetings about migration. All right, flock, old business. Last year's flight pattern. New business, global warming. No, they just fly. You'd think with all our intelligence, we'd have figured out something that's simple by now. But no, we have to categorize, optimize, strategize. We make to-do lists for our to-do lists. We've got planners, apps, sticky notes, reminders, and still we forget half of it. You know why? Because deep down, the human brain doesn't want to be managed. It wants to flow. It wants to wing it. That's when we're at our best. When we stop thinking and just do. You ever try to teach someone how to dance? If they overthink it, they look like a robot learning to sneeze. But if they let go, if they just move, suddenly they're dancing. That's life. You can't dance to it by counting the steps. You've got to feel the rhythm. And that's what winging it is. Rhythm. The natural flow of existence. The stuff that happens when you stop trying to control it all. But we're raised to fear that. Be responsible. Be prepared. Prepared for what? You can't prepare for half the stuff that happens. You think the first caveman planned to invent fire? Okay, let's rub these sticks together and revolutionize civilization. No, it was an accident. A happy, spontaneous accident. That's progress, unplanned genius. Some of the best discoveries in history came from winging it. Penicillin, accident. Potato chips, accident. Microwave oven, accident. Even gravity, just an apple dropping on a guy's head. Life's greatest hits album is full of improvisation, but we still act like spontaneity's dangerous. It's not dangerous, it's alive. Planning gives people a false sense of control. That's the trick. It makes them feel safe, like life's predictable. But it's not. Life's the biggest improv show in the universe. You don't get a script, you don't know your cues, and nobody tells you how long your part lasts. You just walk out there and start talking. Some people freeze up, some stumble, and some, the ones who wing it, they turn it into magic. That's what makes the birds so smart without even trying. They don't resist the wind. They use it. When it shifts, they shift. They don't fight the air. They ride it. Humans, though, if the wind changes, we file a complaint. This isn't what I signed up for. Yeah, that's life. It changes direction. It doesn't owe you consistency. You can plan every detail, but you can't plan the wind. You can't schedule a rainbow. You can't predict laughter. And you sure as hell can't choreograph happiness. Those things happen when you let go, when you trust the breeze to take you somewhere new. You know the problem. We think we're smarter than nature. What can outplan the chaos? No, you can't. Chaos invented you. You're a product of chance pretending to be a master of control. That's adorable. You're like a toddler lecturing gravity. The people who wing it aren't reckless. They're realists. They know plans are like sandcastles. Nice while they last, but the tide's coming in. They don't fight the tide. They grab a drink, sit back, and enjoy the view. That's not carelessness. That's wisdom. I remember seeing this guy once at a park trying to train his parrot to fly on command. He had a whistle, treats, a clicker, the whole setup. The bird just stared at him, then took off on its own. Didn't come back for 2 hours. That bird didn't need a plan. It needed freedom. It knew something the trainer didn't. That flight isn't about command. It's about trust. That's what life is, flight. Not straight lines, not precise turns, not perfect timing. Flight. Unpredictable, beautiful, and temporary. You glide when the air is good, and when it's rough, you ride it out. That's the balance. Not control, cooperation. You ever think maybe the reason we admire birds so much is because they live the way we secretly want to? No schedules, no stress, no pretending. Just the wind, the sky, and the moment. That's it. They don't store regrets. They don't hold grudges. They don't obsess over yesterday or worry about tomorrow. They just are. And they seem happier for it. Meanwhile, we're down here building calendars to manage our anxiety about time. We invented the clock, then became its slave. Birds don't wear watches, and somehow they're never late. You ever see a bird in a hurry? Sorry, can't chat? Running behind on migration? No. They go when it's time, not before, not after, just right. That's what winging it really means, knowing that you'll figure it out as you go. And you will. You always do. Every problem you've ever faced, every mess you've ever made, somehow you handled it. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not gracefully, but you handled it. That's the proof. You've been winging it your whole life, and it's worked so far. The problem isn't that people wing it. The problem is they don't admit it. Everyone's out here pretending they've got it all figured out. They don't. Nobody does. Every adult you've ever met is just a kid improvising with a mortgage. Some of them are better at hiding it. That's all. So maybe it's time to stop pretending. Stop fighting the wind. Stop overthinking every turn. Life's not a straight flight. It's a flock of crazy loops, dives, and glides. And that's okay. That's what makes it worth flying through.